This month, the Osher Map Library opened an exhibit entitled Envisioning the World, the First Printed Maps, 1472 to 1700. This exhibit, organized by Eric Stanley and Henry Wendt, originated at the Sonoma County Museum. The exhibit explores the major trends in intellectual history from the early Renaissance to the scientific era of the Enlightenment. The maps in this exhibit are drawn from the collection of Henry and Holly Wendt. Henry Wendt, who describes the exhibit, said that he started collecting maps with a Dutch map of the East Indies that he found in Tokyo.
I took it to my hotel room, put it on the floor, got down on my hands and knees, and just studied this map and thought, my gosh, this is wonderful. I wonder if there are more. Turns out there were, and I've been collecting ever since. These are the first, and therefore the oldest, and the earliest printed maps of the planet Earth. And they describe visually the first impressions of the planet. With the advent of printing, people turned back to classical sources. So the first map, in fact, is a Ptolemaic map that had its origins at about 600 AD. But it was printed, so it was after the Gutenberg Bible, about 5 years after the Gutenberg Bible. So this collection starts with the oldest known maps that were then printed subsequently. This is the oldest Ptolemaic map that was originally drawn in 600 AD and then was redrawn and printed in Germany in 1482. This is the signature world map. Ortelius, Dutch map maker, 1570, hand-colored as it came off the printing press. This is Blau, again hand-colored at the time of printing. Beautiful map, Mercator projection. The end of the collection really stops at 1700. But this is an English map that was printed in London in 1697. And up to date for the times, showing the known world, although even at that date California is pictured as an island. But then today, many people really wish it were an island, so who knows? I think that these maps have artistic appeal, and they were made by people with artistic talent. I think it was maybe a form of advertising, in a way, to give maps greater appeal and draw in a greater audience and raise the price of the product, essentially. So they are made with visual appeal as well as conveying information. This map by a Dutch map maker, Vischer, Nicholas Vischer, was printed in 1658, and it's really the high watermark of the dramatic and artistic expression of world maps. The real appeal of this is not so much the cartography as it is these dramatic illustrations. This is Mars and Venus in their heavenly chariot. This is the rape of Persephone. These were printed, drawn and printed basically for educational purposes. At the time they were among the best sellers of printed works because maps convey a great deal of information and people obviously were curious about their world. These two books each have maps printed within the text. Very important maps from a historic point of view. These can be thought of as in an intellectual sense as foundation maps upon which modern cartography was then constructed. This is a map that was made by Edmund Halley of Halley's Comet, the famous English astronomer who commandeered virtually a Royal Navy ship to make observations in the southern hemisphere around the world. And this map resulted from that voyage. It's also interesting to see parts of Australia, what we know as Australia, and then the parts that were not known at the time, just left blank. Previous cartographers would make up what they didn't know, utilize their fertile imaginations. But Halley was a punctilious scientist. This actually is New Guinea but shown as an extension of Australia. I think there's an appeal there for everyone. You don't have to be a history buff. You don't have to be an art buff, but I think most people will respond very positively to these old maps and find them quite interesting.
The exhibit will run through December 15th. This is Tom Handel for Community Update.